A lot of people talk about HARP. There's now talk about Antarctica and good Lord, things being weaponized down there, and even the earthquake in New Zealand. Can you talk about any of this? Does it have any bearing, and is it important even to discuss?
It's important to discuss just so people get an understanding, like I just mentioned, about this tractor beam pulling an asteroid towards the Earth. But do you know why that didn't hit?
No, please tell me.
I left out the punchline. An extraterrestrial vehicle intercepted it and moved it off course and saved us. That is the truth. And this deep black non-official cover guy knows this. So there are enough people in that system that know that there are a bunch of madmen who would like to see 4, 5, 6 billion people killed. But there are people who are in that system, don't want to go there. So this is very dynamic. I mean, and unfortunately, I've landed right in the dead center of it between the deep black world, the black world, the Congress, the Pentagon, and everything. But which I had hoped I wouldn't be in this position. But it is what it is. I mean, at my age, in for a dime, in for a dollar. I just turned 68. So I go, well, I should be retired and sitting around with my 12 grandchildren, but here I am. But I honestly think that, that this is why things like what, Eric Hecker talked about with the neutrino light array at the South Pole.
Exactly.
A Raytheon system. Flip that on, all those earthquakes in Christchurch. Yeah, those are scalar type systems. Scalar meaning a type of electromagnetic pulse that's faster than the speed of light. Mm-hmm. It may have been an inadvertent result, but they also know it could be used that way. I have a guy who was a contract agent, private, with one of these systems that was sent down over the subduction zone where the bad Indonesian earthquake and tsunami happened that killed 250,000 people. He was on the ship where they detonated not a kinetic bomb, but an electromagnetic scalar pulse that caused that earthquake fault to subduct, slip, that caused that earthquake. Absolutely, that can be done. Our military whistleblower, who was the U-2 spy plane pilot that you all saw, Colonel Heckert, not to be confused with Hecker, he told me very directly that before they had those, they had a nuclear bomb tipped torpedoes sitting on fault lines that they could detonate that would cause earthquakes to be set off. Putin has directly mentioned this and said that if the United States gets in his way too much, he'll inundate it with tidal waves. So I think the public does need to know why. Because not to create fear, but to create motivation to act, because everyone is too apathetic. They don't realize that having these sorts of organizations and technologies without the oversight of the people or even the people's representatives. I mean, I'm looking at the White House right here and the top of the Capitol dome right there from my condo here in Washington. And I'm going, well, if all those people don't know anything and the public doesn't know anything, and therefore they're not taking action, I've always said, power abhors a vacuum. So we've created our apathetic vacuum, and in that vacuum has stepped some very bad actors. And if you're going to fix the problem, you can't be passive. You have to be active, proactive, not violent, but proactive. And at a certain point, you have to be willing to engage law enforcement if in fact, all other approaches fail. Because what you can't allow, I mean, imagine if somebody had stopped Adolf Hitler and his inner circle, before the Holocaust and World War II. It wouldn't have been 6 million lives saved. It would have been 20 to 30 million lives saved. So at a certain point, if you have this kind of knowledge, which I have, and others that I'm sharing this with now have in the Congress and the Pentagon, you have a responsibility. You can't sit back and just go, oh, well, screw it. Because I think that, there's this old saying, There are the sins of omission, the things you do that you regret when you die. The bigger ones are the sins of omission. It's what you didn't do that you should have done. That when you review your life, I could have done this, I could have done this, and you didn't. So I'm saying this to everyone listening. You need to have a talk with yourself about what are you doing, and what are you doing to resolve these huge problems, whether it's peace on Earth and in space, contact with these civilizations that are peaceful, the CE5 contact effort, the disclosure effort, being involved in getting your representatives to listen and look at this material and take the time to get really deepened in it. Everyone needs to sort of take some responsibility, even if you have other interests, careers, and hobbies. I mean, I gave up my medical career as an emergency doctor to fix this problem. And that means you're giving up $500,000 a year and making nothing like we are. But it's never been about that for me. It's been about making change happen, avoiding the worst outcome and in replacing it with a beautiful outcome.